Hello again, I am Blunty, and this is the iCade. Obviously built to resemble a miniature version of the classic arcade cabinets of my youth. It has an interesting story. It originally hit the internet as an April Fool's Day prank on ThinkGeek.com. However, the response to it, even after it was made clear that it was indeed a prank, was so strong and enthusiastic, it was actually built as a real product, and now you can buy them. It comes flat packed and will only take about 10 minutes or so to build the cabinet around the included control panel component, which runs off a pair of AA batteries. There's no power switch, it simply automatically powers on when any button is pressed, including lighting up a little imitation coin slot with an appropriately retro orange glow. And then it'll power back down again after a period of inactivity. Syncing the Bluetooth connection with your iPad is straightforward enough, and there are instructions beneath the top panel to help you out in 6 months' time when you've inevitably lost the instruction manual and need to sync it with a new iPad or something. To date, there are only a handful of games on the App Store that support playing with the iCade, and few of those are actually worth playing, frankly. The real fun begins when you jailbreak your iPad and load up the MAME for All arcade emulator, pack it with your ROMs, and start playing the real arcade games in a format and with controls that they were designed to be played with. As for those controls, I've heard some other reviewers claim that they feel just like the classic arcade buttons and joysticks. Those people are full of crap. Those people either have terrible memories or have only had real arcade controls described to them over the phone from someone with a thick German accent and a passing familiarity with the English language adjectives. They feel okay, they're responsive and have decent tactility, they even sound right. But to those amongst us who grew up in arcades, pumping coin after coin into Bubble Bobble, Wonder Boy and Street Fighter 2 back when the arcades were the only place you could play Street Fighter 2, will instantly recognise the rather cheap feel of the joystick and buttons. And I speak as a man who not only grew up playing arcade machines, but designed and hand-built his own monolithic 4-player arcade cabinet when he was 21. I know what the hell I'm talking about, kids. They look the part. They sound the part, but they just don't feel quite right. These are unmistakably cheap imitations of the real thing. The plastic is wrong, the size is wrong, and the concave indent on the pad is wrong. But all that said, they still work just fine. They feel like they're going to last, and the joystick feels like it'll put up with the punishment, and those are kind of the important bits, really. The layout is slightly cramped, but that's not really a shock. I mean, it's a small unit. It doesn't feel clumsy, but it's just squishy enough to feel slightly awkward sometimes. The cabinet is designed around the iPad being in a vertical position, but you can switch it around horizontally, so you can quickly switch around depending on what type of game you're playing and what type of screen works best for that game. It kind of sits in a little ledge when it's in horizontal. Not quite as tidy as vertical, but it works, and that's all that counts. Internally, the iCade is essentially a Bluetooth keyboard, so it seems to be pretty low on the power-hungry scale, so you shouldn't have to switch out those batteries too often. But you can, if you wish, also power it from an appropriate 5-volt plug pack. There is a provision in the design for your dock cable, so although it uses Bluetooth for the controls, you can still have your iPad plugged into power to keep it charged while you play. I don't like the graphic design much, so if I can ever be bothered, I may just repaint it or get a new vinyl decal printed or something. But that's if I can be bothered. But aside from that, and the slightly cheap feel of the buttons, it's a pretty well-built bit of kit that works wonderfully. It's physically and functionally stable while playing, and if there's any Bluetooth lag, I'm yet to notice it in-game. And when you're playing games like Galaga here, fast twitch action is the name of the game, and if there was lag, it would show up, I would guess. But it's not there, so awesome. And best of all, when playing all these classic arcade games, they feel much more like they are supposed to feel, like they were designed to feel, instead of trying to play them with the crippling misery of the overlay touchscreen controls or even a modern joypad. And all of this added up leaves me with one final verdict of worth it. I'm glad I bought one. It's a fun enhancement tool that's pretty well worth the money you pay for it. Thanks for watching, I'm Blunty, and I'll catch you next time.